What's going on, Bengals fans? Stone Shields on hand for another edition of Bengals Breakdown. We teased it earlier in the week. We told you guys it was coming, and the night has finally come. It is time to discuss the playoff picture in the AFC and how Cincinnati kind of works their way into the equation. Because believe it or not, they are not dead yet. And we'll get into on the show. According to Amazon Next Gen Stats, they have a 5% chance to get in, but it certainly feels like a lot more than that, in my personal opinion. Maybe I'm just biased, but again, we will dive into that all on today's show. Still some hope for Cincinnati with 3 games to go. Before we get into that, I want to remind you guys to hit that thumbs up icon if you have not done so already. We are in a like battle with our Ravens channel here in December. Past 4 months are 2-2, and as you can see, we have fallen a little bit behind, and we're really going to need you guys to help us out here because they're able to put out a little bit more content than we are at this point, given what we've got going on here at the Cincinnati Chat Sports offices. So we really need to take advantage of every single video we do. Help us out. Hit that thumbs up icon. Something you should do for all of our videos here at Bengals Breakdown. We greatly appreciate it. All right, this Cincinnati Bengals team finally has some momentum, right? And I know what you're saying. Oh, they played the Titans. They got lucky against the Cowboys, whatever. But they finally have won back-to-back games, something they have only done one other time this season, which is really crazy because in the Joe Burrow era, all the years that we've seen him healthy, they've gone on a crazy run at some point, and that really hasn't happened yet. But could perhaps they go win 5 in a row to end the year? That is something that still is very much in the cards at this point. So they have a little bit of a momentum here going into this game at home against the Cleveland Browns against Dorian Thompson-Robinson, which I think is a break for Cincinnati. I understand Cleveland had to kind of make that move, right? Get off Jameis Winston, but I certainly think he's a better quarterback than DTR. Cincinnati will catch a break and should win this game. And after that, it's the Denver Broncos that will come to town. And then Week 18, my prediction is that game in Pittsburgh, the Bengals will still be alive at that point, the last game of the year. Again, that is my prediction. But as I mentioned at the top, 5% chance to get in per Amazon Next Gen Stats. So let's take a look at the whole picture here in the AFC and these teams that Cincinnati is going to be competing with. I want you guys to keep an eye on the Denver Broncos, the Los Angeles Chargers, the Miami Dolphins, and the Indianapolis Colts. All of those teams we are going to discuss on today's show, as well as the Chiefs and the Bills, and we'll kind of explain how they factor into this equation as well. But first, the pinned comment of today's video: do you still believe Cincinnati can get into the playoffs? Type Y for yes or N for no. This is still a Y for me. I still believe at this point that it can be done until they are mathematically eliminated. I'm not predicting necessarily that they will, but there's still some hope. I don't know what you guys think. Get down in the comment section. Let us know if that ad comes here on YouTube. That's totally fine. Sound off for us at the comment section. All right, so here is what the Cincinnati Bengals need. Kind of 3 things that need to happen beyond winning out. So I don't even have that on there. The Cincinnati Bengals have to win out to have a chance. And then the first thing they need is the loser of the Los Angeles Chargers and the Denver Broncos, who, by the way, play tomorrow night on Thursday Night Football. The loser of that game needs to lose out. And I definitely think the Cincinnati Bengals should be cheering for the Los Angeles Chargers in this football game. Let's kind of take a look as to why that is. Here is the Broncos schedule. So if they drop that game to the Los Angeles Chargers on Thursday Night Football, they got 2 games left. Cincinnati, you play them Week 17. So I think that in itself is the reason why you should be rooting for the Chargers, because you have an opportunity to play this Denver Broncos team, and you got to win out anyway. But that Week 18 game against the Kansas City Chiefs is going to be critical. It is in Denver in this game, and if you remember earlier in the season, Denver really kind of should have won that game against Kansas City. They lost at the very end of that ball game, and why that is so important is the Bengals need Kansas City to be trying to win that game. They don't want to have Kansas City be in a spot where they have that 1 seed locked up, and they don't need to play their starters for that game. Again, Patrick Mahomes has that ankle injury right now. I was not anticipating him playing this week in their game against Houston, but it looks like he's going to be a go. He's been a full participant in practice. And what is very noteworthy about that is the Bills, they have the tiebreaker over the Kansas City Chiefs. So if they can win 2 games and if they can win out rather, and the Kansas City Chiefs perhaps lose a game either to the Pittsburgh Steelers or their game this week against the Houston Texans, that puts them in a position to perhaps have to play their starters their last game of the season against the Denver Broncos, which obviously Cincinnati wants. Cincinnati wants to have Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, all those guys out there week 18 to give the Denver Broncos their best opportunity to lose that game. Rooting for the Kansas City Chiefs, believe it or not, there, of course. Taking a look at Buffalo here. This is the schedule that they have. Again, they have that tiebreaker over the Kansas City Chiefs. And look, I think there's a very good chance that the Bills are going to win out here as they go with the Patriots, the Jets, and then the Patriots again. So again, if the Bills can win out and the Chiefs stumble against either the Steelers or the Texans, both teams that are going to win their division most likely, although Baltimore isn't fully out of it yet, certainly two playoff teams, there's a good possibility that Mahomes and those guys are going to have to play that last week. And if Cincinnati needs Denver to win, you feel pretty good about the Chiefs getting it done that final week of the season to get the number 1 seed. We'll continue here. Didn't even talk about the Chargers there, which we'll get into that side of things here in a moment. But first, I want to give a shout out to our friends over at PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. You can now win up to 1,000 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. PrizePicks is the best way to get action on sports in over 30 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. PrizePicks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy, so your lineup stays in play even if one of your players gets injured, a real major thing that they've got going on at PrizePicks as well. If your player leaves in the first half and doesn't return, PrizePicks keeps your lineup live. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action. Join over 10 million users and sign up today. They also invented the Flex Play. Here's what we threw together here at the Chat Sports offices. I forget exactly which one of us threw this together. It was not me, but regardless, Flex Play for one of the college football playoff games here this weekend. Going with the more than on Cade Klubnik pass yards, the more than on TJ Moore, Clemson wide receiver, receiving yards, as well as the more than on Nico Iamaleava, always say that one wrong, pass touchdowns against Ohio State there on Saturday night. So that is the Flex Play. Really encourage you guys to try that out. Essentially, one of your prize picks is not successful, you can still double your money even if your slip isn't perfect. So download the app today. Use code CLNS. Get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app. Use code CLNS. Get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. It's PrizePicks. Run your game. All right, back to the playoff picture here that we are looking at. So that was kind of scenario number 1 if the Los Angeles Chargers are able to defeat the Denver Broncos. Now let's look at the Chargers side of things. Let's say they lose against the Broncos on Thursday night. Then Cincinnati would need the Chargers to lose their 2 remaining games, and they play the Patriots and the Raiders. They're both really terrible football teams. So again, if Denver gets it done on Thursday, you don't really feel good about your chances. I think your chances definitely take a significant strike and a significant hit. If that is the case, again, have to go on the road twice in those games, but still going against the Raiders and the Patriots really to end the season really feels like Cincinnati needs Denver to lose to the Chargers on Thursday night. Now, if you enjoy our playoff picture videos, got good news for you. We're going to keep making them as long as Cincinnati stays alive. Cincinnati's going to be alive after this week if they get a win. Might look a lot worse or a lot better, but they're still going to be alive, so we'll have another one of these videos for you guys next week. Don't miss out. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. All right, so that was just the first thing that the Bengals did, of course, besides winning out. So technically the second thing. Now let's get into this third item on the list. The Dolphins lose at least once. The Dolphins, of course, have 3 games remaining on the schedule. Bengals got a break last week when the Dolphins lost, and they just need one more loss out of this group. Here is the Dolphins' remaining schedule. 49ers here this week, Browns in 17, and the Jets in week 18. I think, if you're definitely rooting for the 49ers here this week if you're a Cincinnati Bengal fan. According to Amazon Next Gen Stats, Dolphins currently have a 6% chance to get in the playoffs, just a tick higher than the Cincinnati Bengals. But you might be into some trouble here if the Dolphins beat the 49ers, because you could definitely see them going on a bit of a run. Hopefully it's really cold in Cleveland. Obviously they struggle in the cold weather. Same in New York as well. But let's hope that the 49ers can get a victory here this weekend and kind of take care of the Miami Dolphins. Last thing you need is the Colts to lose at least one game as well. Again, you kind of got some help. It was kind of a, you didn't know exactly who to root for last week when the Broncos played the Colts. Broncos ended up winning that football game despite the fact Indianapolis, had some opportunities to do some good things in that game and just kept shooting themselves in the foot. And this is a little bit concerning taking a look at the Colts' remaining schedule. Now, I don't think the Colts are a very good football team at all, but they very well could be better than all those teams listed on their schedule. Playing the Titans, playing the Giants, playing the Jaguars, that's going to be tough. And I think that's why you see their playoff probability there at 10%, higher than the Bengals and the Dolphins, just because their schedule is so weak coming in. You really could possibly see them taking care of business in all of those games. The Bengals cannot afford for that to happen. They need them to drop one of these games. We'll see who starts at quarterback for Tennessee this week. If they go back to Levis, which I can't imagine, or if they go with Mason Rudolph, they've probably already named a starter. I just do not know at this point. But one of those teams needs to clutch up for Cincinnati and knock off the Indianapolis Colts. One last chance to get interactive with our show here at Bengals Breakdown. Who do you think will win the AFC? Kind of going big picture here. We talked about a lot of the teams in the conference, of course. I still really haven't made up my mind on that, whether it's going to be the Chiefs, the Bills, or the Baltimore Ravens, perhaps, or maybe even the Cincinnati Bengals if they can sneak in. But regardless, let me know in the comment section who you think is going to win the AFC.